short period of time like I have here now is not really enough time to give justice to Alexander Raab. He was, as I say, a pioneer. He was a philanthropist, a visionary. He was an inventor, an innovator. You'd have to actually look at some of the ads that he did over the years that make him look somewhat like a comedian. He was a retailer, a grower, a designer. The list goes on and on. But one thing for sure, that anybody that came across Alexander Raab during his time, he ended up being a mentor to them for sure.
That's the first White Rose catalog. Front and center on the front page of the catalog is the Canadian Association of Nurserymen logo. One of the things about Dad was he was always focused on an extremely high level of professionalism, which carried through everything that he did in his business and all his dealings with his staff, his customers, and his suppliers. The history of the company goes back to very strong emphasis on a mail order business. This is a mailing envelope that the catalog went out in 1965. And inside, I'm a cover girl. Very quickly, he ended up having a customer in every postal code in Canada from coast to coast. And right from the beginning, he started his 100% guarantee. And people said, well, Alex, how can you afford to do that? People won't be honest. They'll be telling you that plants died when they didn't. And he said, no. That's not the nature of people. Everything was shipped bare root. Mom, you would pack, I remember you packing the roots of the trees with moss, yes, with sphagnum moss, and then they would be tied with brown craft paper and twine, yes, and the shipping label stuck to them, and off they went.
Well, it went well.
It went well until it didn't. Until it didn't. There was a full-blown postal strike which lasted many weeks, and that postal strike almost did them in. All of the plants that were in transit died. Yeah. They sat in postal warehouses all over the country for 6 or 7 weeks, and he honored every single refund, which basically was going to bankrupt them. Yeah. But he was true to his word, and he returned all the money to every customer that placed an order. And that was pretty much the end of them. They knew they were done in. Thankfully, they had good friends in Unionville who were willing to assist with some financing to get them through the year so that he could start all over again. They got away from shipping actual plant material. And
we were shipping seeds.
Yes, we did a lot of seed orders.
Yes.
Yeah. And the seeds, right from the get-go, he made sure that his suppliers were always the best of everything. So the best seed growers, whether they were in Japan or the UK or France or the US, though that's where he bought the seed. Having this in people's homes was the critical piece. For people to be able to sit in their armchair at home, look at the beautiful pictures of the flowers, the bulbs, the shrubs, the fruit trees, and dream about having them in their garden. And so part of the encouragement, he always wanted to educate. That was the other thing, whether it was his staff or his customers. He had instruction sheets printed and were given away free at the garden center, and you could pick whatever instruction sheet was appropriate for you. You could take it home and it would help you learn how to do things. He created something he called the Busy People's Garden. Just a very simple, classic layout of a border planting. And you literally could take this with you to the garden center. You could draw out your own property, and you could follow the buying guide and purchase everything you needed to plant a Busy People's Garden.
He just wanted everybody to be happy.
Yes.
That was his main thing in life.
We were talking upstairs, even his giveaways, he'd always have like the top of the line thing, like
Absolutely.
The bulb would have to be the best bulb.
Absolutely,
Right.
Yeah, he always used to say, if you give something away free, It's got to be the best.
When we started opening stores in the 70s, like beyond the Unionville store, which was the original, he started something called Door Crasher Specials. And the first 500 customers who came through the door would be given a gift. And that gift had to be something terrific. The largest tulip bulbs you could buy. And Mom, you said that people would come back.
Year after year, and they would always tell us the bulbs are still blooming, and they're the best thing they ever had in their house.
Yeah. He was very insistent that a customer never be made to feel dumb or wrong. So if they killed the plants, we were taught to graciously give them their credit notes for whatever it was worth. If we were able to make a slight suggestion of how to plant the next one a little differently so that it had a better chance of survival, but he didn't want to discourage anybody, to the point that we grew all our own roses in the field and we never waxed our roses. People would bring back waxed roses. It could have been a completely honest mistake. They mistakenly thought they had bought them from White Rose. He said it didn't matter. You give them a credit note for the roses.
You replace them
And
anyway.
and some of the staff would say, but Mr. Raab, they didn't buy them here. Why would you take those roses back? They were very offended. And he said, customers for life. Trust people, show them that you care, encourage them to plant their gardens. They will keep coming back. And so that's what we did. Sometimes frustrating, but that's what we did. And that that treatment of people paid dividends year
yes.
after year after year. Yeah. We would,
Several generations.
oh yes,
Customers.
we would get letters from communities outside of the GTA on a regular basis that said, when are we going to get our own White
White
Rose
Rose.
store? I mean, clearly he was a tremendous marketer. He understood what people wanted and he knew how to give it to them. But on the growing side, he was a true innovator.
Yeah.
And the garden, the nursery farm in Goodwood was the first really large-scale container growing operation in the country. And larger than many in the States, actually. So, you know, one of the biggest ones in North America at its peak. So the container growing was a huge innovation. He wasn't the only one that was doing it, but put it into very large-scale production for every aspect of the farm. And the farm was not a monoculture farm. They were growing everything from perennials to roses to fruit trees, evergreens, flowering shrubs, hedge materials, and large caliber trees. Just everything was grown up there, which was also something that was unusual for a nursery operation, to have that variety, that extreme variety of plant materials.
Berry bushes.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
I'd like you to join me now in welcoming, the family is here. Mrs. Raab is here, Jeannine and Sandra and David. They're all here with us now, and I'd like to invite them to come up to accept the Canadian Nursery Landscape Individual Award.
Thank you. Good evening. What Anthony didn't mention to you is that he was one of the people that my father mentored. It was a long time ago, almost 40 years ago, I met Anthony when he started work at the farm where I had just finished school and worked, and we worked together for a number of years. And I witnessed his growth under my father, and it was one of many that I got a chance to see. One thing that I wanted to mention, I think it was Joe who won the Grower of the Year award. He mentioned family and the importance of family in our industry, and I just wanted to remind everybody that this industry started with growing plants, and most plants were grown by family nurseries. And I remember growing up across the street from Sheridan Nurseries, down the road from Annabelle Nurseries, Wheel and Cullen was around the corner, and all of us were family nurseries, every one of them. And I think it was a big part of why the nursery industry grew, was because of the family involvement. So I'm a second-generation nurseryman. I've moved to Florida, and I've started my own nursery. And my 2 sons are working in the industry as well now. And in the time of consolidation of nurseries where big companies are coming and buying them all up, and I think it's important that we remember how important the family is in the nursery business. And I think a lot of the best came from those family nurseries. And so, Joe, wherever you are, you mentioned it earlier, the importance of it, and I agree 100%. Oh, Jeff, yes, thanks. And so that was it that I wanted to mention, and my father spent a lifetime trying to make things better, whether it was in his business or the industry at large, and when he got successful enough for parks and for people, and it's great that he's being honored now. It was his birthday yesterday. He would have been 98. 98, yeah. We lost him 7 years ago, but once again, he was with his family. It's the way we've always been, and it's the way our families operate. And so thank you, Anthony, for bringing him back to life for the nursery industry for tonight, and we gratefully accept this on his behalf. Thank you.